I will get started then. All right, so all right, so my name is Miss Laura Morgan, and I am from the Solano Resource Conservation District, the Solano RCD. And I am usually educating students outside, teaching students outside about nature, connecting with nature. And one of the big things that I teach is how to make observations. And that is our goal for today, is learning how to be a better observer, okay? And this is such an important skill that we can all use in our lives. So my goal for today is to help you see things that other people can't see, okay? So that is our goal for today. Now, today, you are gonna need a couple items. So Miss Martin, can you skip to my next slide? So you are gonna need 2 leaves. I have some leaves with me. You are gonna need some paper and something to write with. Pen or pencil is fine, something to take notes on. You're gonna need your eyes and your brain to think about making those observations and use your eyes to help you make those observations. And we're also gonna use another natural object if you brought that with you today, but if you just have leaves, that's okay too. So this is a webinar, which means that you can see me, but I can't necessarily see you. So I will give those of us that are on Zoom with me today the opportunity to share their thoughts and observations and their notes on Zoom. So if you would like to do that, I'll tell you when is a good time, and you can press the raise hand button. So it's just right below, you can press that button, and if you raise your hand, Miss Martin will let you share your observations for about 30 seconds. So I'll give you some opportunities to do that today. Another important feature on here is the chat button. So if at any point you want to share a thought or ask me a question, please write it in the chat, and Miss Martin will let me know, and I will try my best to answer your question. Okay, so I want to know who is in my audience today. So I have a poll for you. I would like to know where you're from. So what city are you from? And I want to know your rough age range. So how old you are. That way I know who my audience is. So Miss Martin is going to pull up a poll. If you can just take a moment to answer that. All right. I see one person is from Benicia. Nice. And I know we have some friends on YouTube as well. Okay. Okay, great. So let's get started then. So Ms. Martin, if you could, yeah, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I am going to teach you how to be a better observer. So you are going to be a better scientist after today, because every scientist has to make good observations, right? That's all of what being a scientist is about. So we are going to make some observations about our leaf. So if you have your leaf with you, please pull it out. Now, what is an observation? This is kind of a tricky thing, right? What is an observation anyway? So when I talk about an observation, what I am talking about is something that we could use our senses to detect. So our senses are things like hearing, seeing, smelling, even tasting is a sense. We're not really going to do that today. and touching, right? So I know that I am making an observation when I start my sentence with the word I notice, okay? So I notice that my leaf is really big, right? That would be an observation. Or I notice that my leaf is green would be an observation. And an observation is something that we notice in the moment, okay? So it's something that we're seeing right in front of us, happening right there and then. And it's not an opinion. So for me to say, I notice that my leaf is awesome or my leaf is gross, that's an opinion. That's not an observation, right? And we want to use evidence when making observations too. So let's say that I noticed that there was a hole in my leaf. I can't say I noticed that a bug made that hole if I'm not watching the bug eating the little hole from the leaf, right? So we want to use evidence to make our observations. Now, just for fun, since we're going to be using all of our senses to make observations on our leaf, I want to know, what is your favorite sense? So Miss Martin, can you put out that poll, please? What is your favorite sense? I'll share my favorite sense. I think my favorite sense is one of that we're not going to be using today, which is taste. And I see that we have a vote for sight as well. Yeah, that's an awesome sense. Great. So what I would like you to do is I'm going to give you about a minute, and you are going to say all of your observations out loud, as many as you see, starting with the words I notice. So maybe let me model this for you really quickly. So here's my leaf. So I notice that there are a lot of little hairs on the underside of my leaf. I notice that my leaf has a lot of little crevices. I notice that there are high points and low points on my leaf, right? So anything that you notice, right? I notice that one side of my leaf is darker than the other side. It's a little bit lighter. So I'm going to give you about 1 minute to make as many observations as you can, all starting with the words I notice. And remember to keep those points in mind. So it's not an opinion, it's something that's happening in the moment, and you want to give your observations evidence. You want to make sure you have evidence behind your observation. All right. So I'm going to give you about 1 minute to make as many observations as you can. Say them out loud. Okay. Ready? Set. Go. And for those of us watching, feel free to record your observations on a piece of paper, or feel free to write them down, record your results, write down as much as you can.
What I'm going to pop in and share real quick is that you can take a piece of paper and just simply fold it in half. And suddenly you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different spots that you can record your observations on. And we're going to be doing a few different activities today. So you can do what we're looking at right now on your first page, and then you have different spots for the next few activities we're going to be doing when we're making observations.
All right. I'll give you just a couple more seconds and then we'll move on to using our next tool. And maybe I'll zoom into my leaf just in case you don't have a leaf with you.
Miss Morgan, I am noticing that that leaf is bigger than your head.
Yes, it is.
That is very impressive. I don't think I've ever seen leaves so big in my life.
Okay, so we just made a bunch of I notice statements. A lot of observations that we just made about our one object. So now I'm going to give you another tool that you can use to help make you observations. So we did I notice. Our next tool that we're going to use is called I wonder. So this is all about asking questions. It's all about the mystery of your leaf. So I want you to look at your leaf closely, but it can be any natural object, right? So look at your leaf closely, and I want you to see if you can come up with any questions. So things that you might not know about your leaf. And I want you to start your sentence with, I wonder, okay? Now you may have to look really, really closely in order to come up with those questions. So let me model this, okay? So I wonder why there are so many little hairs on my leaf. I wonder what they do. Why are they there? I wonder why the top part of my leaf is darker in color than the bottom of my leaf. I wonder why there are these little tiny yellow dots on my leaf. I wonder if that's a little pest that did that, or I wonder if the leaf is maybe sick. Okay, so I want you to do that, to come up with as many I wonder statements, things that you don't know the answer to, things that you're wondering when looking at your natural object. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 1 minute to do this. 1 minute.
And Miss Morgan, we have another guest in our Zoom chat. So perhaps after we do our I wonder statements, we can invite them to share their observations.
Yes. And for the person that just joined us, we have a piece of paper out, a pen, and a leaf. And maybe I can just kind of zoom into my leaf in case you don't have one, to help you come up with those I wonder statements. I wonder why this leaf is pointy at the end and really round at the base.
I'm still focused on why your leaf is so big.
Yeah, I wonder why it is so big. Why are some leaves bigger and some leaves smaller?
I wonder if it means it can capture more sunlight than smaller leaves.
That's
to
a
make
great
its own
question.
food.
Ooh. Okay. Does anyone want to share their observations? If you're interested in sharing your observation, you can press the raise hand option and Miss Martin can let you come on camera and share your questions.
So, yay, Julian. Okay, we're going to let you come onto camera and to use your voice. So hold on just a moment. Okay.
Hey,
So
Julian.
you should be able to
Hi.
share. Yay, hi.
What questions do you have about your leaf or my leaf? What are you wondering?
I'm wondering why it has a pattern on it.
Ooh, that's a great question. I wonder why it has a pattern on it. Do you have any other questions?
Why is it so green?
Why is it so green? Yeah, it's kind of cool how leaves are different colors. Here's my other leaf that I brought today. And it's like a completely different color. Like, why are some leaves darker and some leaves lighter? Nice. Thanks, Julian.
Welcome.
Okay. Now, we have one more tool to go over. So we made some observations. We noticed things about our leaves. We wondered. And there's one more piece to this, which is all about making connections. All right. So for our next part, we are going to start our sentence with, "It reminds me of." So this can be anything, right? So for example, my leaf that I have with me, it kind of reminds me of a heart, right? The pattern on here, it kind of reminds me of like a big river or something that's kind of splitting in all different directions. The leaf itself feels really fuzzy, which kind of reminds me of one of my favorite sweaters. It's really soft and fuzzy. So now I want you to do the same thing. I want you to make those connections with your leaf or with your natural object. What does it remind you of? What does the smell remind you of? Mine doesn't actually smell like anything, which is okay too. What is the texture? What does it feel like? What does that remind you of? What does the shape remind you of? What do the patterns on the leaf remind you of? I'm going to give you about 1 minute to come up with your observations. And remember that at any point, you're more than welcome to write down any of this in your notebook or on your piece of paper.
Hey, Miss Morgan, can you model for us describing what the leaf feels like when you touch it?
Yeah. So when I'm touching the leaf, it feels really, really fuzzy. So it kind of reminds me of a sweater because it has a lot of little tiny hairs. They're kind of hard to see on the camera, but it just feels really, really soft and smooth. Also, my leaf from the top, the pattern, it's kind of hard to show on the camera, but the pattern looks kind of like scales on like a lizard. So when I look up really close, it almost reminds me of like lizard or snake skin, which I think is really cool. Okay, maybe just 10 more seconds for you to finish up your observations, your "it reminds me of" statement. Okay. Now, for our next activity, we're going to put everything that we learned together. So we're going to use our I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of, and we're going to do a comparison activity. So I asked you to bring 2 leaves with you today. Okay, these are my 2 leaves that I brought. And I want you to use all of those tools that I just taught you to compare your 2 leaves. Okay, so I want you to bring out your notebook. I have a piece of paper with me today, and you can put a line through it in half, kind of like this. Here, I'll use my whiteboard. Just kind of like this picture in my PowerPoint. And I want you to compare the 2 leaves that you brought. I also have 2 leaves on my PowerPoint, so if you don't have 2 leaves with you, you can use the ones on the screen as an example. So you can use the shape of the leaf, the smell, the feel, to compare the leaves. How are they different? How are they the same? I want you to write down as many observations as you can, what you notice, what you wonder, what it reminds you of. Maybe they remind you of the same thing or different things. And my leaves are kind of large, but one thing that I really like to do is I'll even trace the shape of my leaves because I'm not the best artist. But what you can do is you can just kind of trace the leaf, and then that way you can get a really good shape. And I might even fill in the pattern.
Looking good there, Miss Morgan. If I can add too, one thing that's really nice, especially if you're like, I don't know about drawing. I'm not the greatest drawer. Just remember, you're being a scientist. You're just making some observations. So you can do the drawing, but you also can write down words. Like in the picture that's on the screen, you can put that it's a leaf. You can write how many pointy parts there are on the leaf. You can write how many lines. You can get a ruler and measure how long it is and record that. So you're just going to put as many observations as you can for those 2 different leaves using both pictures and words.
Yes, thank you for adding that. That is really important. And since we are being scientists today and not artists, it's not about drawing the most beautiful picture. It's just about drawing what we see, kind of like if we were to take a picture of it with our phones or with our cameras, right? We're just drawing exactly what we see.
Yeah. And Miss Morgan, we have a question about what type of leaves you are comparing. Do you want to share that now, or do you want to wait till the field guide section?
I know one of the leaves that I'm sharing.
Okay.
The other one is a mystery.
So perfect. Share both.
Okay. So this leaf that I have with me, this is from my rubber plant. I have a rubber plant. I can show it to you in just a little bit, but it lost a leaf. And I just think that these leaves are beautiful. I know that that's my opinion and not an observation, but these are just gorgeous leaves. They feel really thick and slippery. They kind of remind me of like my tile floor because they're just so shiny and slick. And I just love the color of rubber trees. This one, I have no idea what leaf this is, so I'm gonna have to do some research. But I live in a city, in a very urban area, and right outside of my apartment, there's a huge tree, and it has these huge leaves with really beautiful white flowers that just dropped to the ground a couple weeks ago. Okay, does anyone want to share their comparison, their leaf comparison with me? I would love to see what you came up with.
So we just lost Julian just seconds ago. So hopefully Julian will be back very soon. And we have a good number of people watching on YouTube. So hopefully they have something that they can send to us. Like they can maybe have a parent or someone at home take a picture and then send it to our email address that we're going to show at the end, but it's education@solonorcd.org, education@solonorcd.org. We would love to see what observations you made.
Yes, please share with me. I really want to see. Please. Okay. So there's just one last tool that I want to share with you. This is a tool that helps me make really good observations and helps me make scientific sketches when I'm outside in the field. We lead a 3rd grade Watershed Explorers program, and I love to teach this tool to my 3rd graders when we're studying trees or flowers or bushes or whatever.
If you were from Robert Semple and you went on a field trip with us in the fall, you might have done this activity.
Yes. So this is called Zoom In, Zoom Out. And I really like this activity, probably because I am not the best artist, right? So for me, when I'm drawing a leaf, I can trace the shape of it pretty well, but I can't really get all the fine detail. Now, when you're doing this, it doesn't have to be with a leaf. I know that I'm focusing on leaves today, but it can be any natural object or any object. So for me, what I'll do is I'll draw kind of like a tracing of my leaf. All right. And I'll use my rubber tree leaf as an example. It has these really cool like ridges on it. Now I can't really see that very well from my tracing. So what I can actually do is I can zoom in . Like this. I know, see, not the best artist here, but it's okay. It's not about being an artist. And I can draw those nice ridges up close. So you can do that with any object. And in this example that I have on our PowerPoint, you can see that they were trying to draw a tree and they zoomed into like a little bud just to show that little part up close. So this is a really important tool, really good tool for showing those small, minute details. So feel free to do this in your drawings today or in your nature drawings throughout the rest of your life. Okay. So I have a take-home activity for everybody that's watching me today. One of my favorite kind of books is a nature guide, because I'm a little nerdy about nature and I love it so much. But I was flipping through my nature guide the other day when I was thinking about making this lesson, and I was just noticing that all this really is someone's observations and someone's nature drawings. So I want to challenge you and encourage you to go outside around your home or a park or any area around your house, maybe with your parent or guardian, and maybe collect all the leaves and make your own nature guide, right? So you can see these are just really simple drawings with a little bit of a description. So you can do this, right? So I want to encourage you to go outside and make those observations using your I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of. You can do comparisons between leaves or insects that you see around your neighborhood. And something that I want you to pay attention to as well is how things are changing from season to season, even from our wet season to our dry season, right? So here in California, we have really wet years, it rains a lot. We have really dry years, it doesn't rain very much. So how are those plants and animals changing? So you can use these tools to help figure out those clues in nature.
So, Miss Morgan, with that, do you think that drought could change how plants and animals look or act?
Oh, definitely. So for those of you that don't know that word, drought, that means a year when we don't have a lot of rain. And that is very normal here in California. We have years of drought, our dry years, and we have wet years. And that just happens randomly, right? And you can see how plants might change. I want to ask you, how do you think a tree might change during a dry year? Maybe like an oak tree with lots of acorns. Do you think that it would make as many acorns if it doesn't get enough rain?
I see that Julian's back. Julian, if you want to share any thoughts or anything that you've been working on with us the past few minutes, we'd love to hear from you. You can raise your hand again if you'd like to share out loud. Yay! All right, I'm going to bring you on.
Yes, Julian's back.
One question. What if we don't have a nature guide? What should we do?
Well, you can make your own, Julian. So all you need is a piece of paper,
Yeah.
pen, and just go outside in your backyard or maybe go around your neighborhood with your parents, and you can even collect leaves and make a nature guide with all the different leaves around your yard with your observations on them. So you can make your own.
Yeah. I should do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go to the backyard. Yeah, because we got feathers. We have leaves, different looking leaves, giant sticks, different looking bugs.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So like starting with leaves is super easy because you can just trace them and write a little description about them, what they look like, what they feel.
Yeah, you know what I think would be really cool, Julian, is if you did do all those different nature things, and instead of having the outdoor world of the Sacramento region, like the book that Miss Morgan has, it would be the outdoor world of Julian's backyard.
Yeah.
I love it. And then if you're ever like, I don't know what the name of this thing is, you can always be with somebody to go to a website and try to look up that information, or when the libraries are open again, go to the library and look at it. I love it.
Thanks, Julian.
You're welcome.
All right, Miss Morgan, what would you like to do next?
Okay, so I think we'll just wrap up our activity here. So thank you so much for everyone that joined us today on YouTube or here on Zoom. So once again, my name is Laura Morgan and I'm with the Solano Resource Conservation District. I also want to give a quick shout out to Beetles because this is their original activity that we've kind of modified for this purpose, and it's awesome and they do an awesome job. So I just wanted to give a quick thank you to them. If you have any questions for us, please email us, but I don't have our email on here.
Yeah, well, we can add it up for just a moment. I'll add it to our picture. We have a question going back to the drought. Do the plants know how to adjust during a drought?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So the plants that are from California, and here in California, we have some plants that are from here and some plants that are not from here. Just because some plants are so beautiful, right? So people bring them from all around the world. So the ones from here do a really good job of adjusting to drought. The ones that are not from here They don't always do the best job, and sometimes they can really struggle. But I think even the plants that are from California, like my oak tree example from earlier, on years where we have drought, we see like less acorns, for example. So that's their kind of way of adjusting. So they might make less seeds if they don't have enough water during drought years. They'll still survive. They're just not gonna be as bountiful as during a wet year.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, friends, we have added the email address. Oops, I started at the wrong spot. Let me start here. There we go. We have added our email address under Miss Morgan's name, so education@solonorcd.org. You can send us any questions you have, but you can also send any of your observations you made. So if you made some sketches and recorded some notes, we really want to see your observations and how you're being a scientist. This is something that scientists do. They make observations, they ask questions, and they make connections so that they better understand things.
And I will also say that next week is going to be our last Watershed Wednesday, and I will be leading that again. So this week we got to explore how to make observations. And next week we're going to use those observation skills and we're going to observe some little tiny aquatic mini beasts. That's right, mini beasts that live in our creeks. So I am going to go out into our creeks, collect some critters, and I'm going to share them with you. So please join me next week, same time, 10 o'clock.
Yes, and if you want to be able to participate like Julian has today by being able to ask questions or say things live with us, you'll want to register org. So just tell caregivers at home that you want to participate. They can get more information from your teacher if you heard about this from your teacher. And we are really excited for next week because those aquatic mini beasts or those water critters are so cool.
They are really cool. They're my favorite.
Okay. Unless we have any more questions, I'm just going to check our box. You're welcome. Ms. Bezos, thank you so much for being here today and for encouraging your students to join us. Robert Simple is such a great school, and we missed having you this spring, but we're glad that you could connect with us today. And for everyone else that has joined us, thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
All right, see you next week.